So without further ado, let's get into it. So here we have InfoTrack's AML-CTF Compliance Centre. So you have access to this through your practice management system or directly on the InfoTrack portal. So on the top right-hand side, there is a button that's been available since March that now says Compliance Centre. Once you click there, and if you haven't set up the Compliance Centre yet, this is the first page that you land on. So we just need to go through, you just need to answer some questions so the experience can be tailored to you and your sector. Starting off here, we have a guide. I'm going to skip this. I'll be a human guide today, but this will guide you through each, button throughout the Compliance Centre. First things first, you need to select your sector. So we cover conveyancing, real estate professionals, legal services, and accounting services. I'll select conveyancing in this instance, but if you are a full service legal firm, for example, and do conveyancing along with other designated services, you would select legal services because conveyancing falls in that bracket. Next up, we need to assign some key roles. So we have the governing body here. They're typically the practice owner, and they appoint the key roles. We have the compliance officer. They sort of manage the day-to-day of compliance and resolve any complex matters that may have been escalated by staff. I'm just going to make myself both here. And if you are a sole practitioner, you will be all three, essentially, governing body, compliance officer, and senior manager. Senior manager is sort of that final sign-off on whether to engage with any high-risk clients, but that's optional to add them in. Lastly, you have the option to add your AUSTRAC enrollment number. So since this month, you can enroll with AUSTRAC. Strongly suggest you guys go ahead and do that when you can find the time. And you can put your AUSTRAC enrollment number here, and it's just good for a continuity and auditability aspect if AUSTRAC did come knocking on your door. Brilliant. So we have just tailored the Compliance Centre to our firm, and we land on the transactions page. So this is mission control, guys. This is the control room where you see all of your transactions, all of your onboardings. As I scroll down, we can see the client names, the checks associated with them, the risk and the activity date. You'll also see underneath the name that there is a reference here. This will automatically populate from if you were submitting this through a practice management system. And there will be the matter reference in there as well. You can see, total transactions. This is your overarching dashboard where you have a holistic view of every onboarding that's happening in your firm. In the top right-hand side, we have a drop-down called AUSTRAC links. We have a direct link to the AML legislation, the starter kits, and also AUSTRAC enrollment. So this is to just help guide you through that enrollment process, and you can add your AUSTRAC enrollment number in here as well. So what we're going to get into next is the key areas that AUSTRAC has recommended should be implemented before the 1st of July. So we're at an interesting time right now. We're sort of in this pre-tranche 2 phase where some key areas should be set up. And that's the firm risk assessment, the policy and process, staff onboarding, and staff training as well. So starting off with the firm risk assessment, this is sort of a big picture, zoomed out look at where your firm potentially could be exposed to any money laundering risk. So what we have here is a logic-based risk assessment builder. And what we've done is we have essentially digitized the AUSTRAC starter kits. So instead of you having to go through the starter kits, understanding all the inherent risks, putting them on a Word document and then an Excel spreadsheet, attaching risk scores to them, we've got that completely digitized in here, and it's a workflow. So I won't go into it word by word because it can take a little bit of time, but strongly suggest you guys go into the Compliance Centre, take a look at the risk assessment, and then fill it out, and it will be unique to your firm. So we see here we have a designated service. Because I selected conveyancing when I was setting up the Compliance Centre, there's only one designated service here, which is a sale, purchase, or transfer of real estate. However, if you are a full service legal firm, for example, there is a range of different designated services in here, and you'll select all that apply to your firm. And then you'll go through some other areas, client types, who are your clients that you're mainly dealing with. You go into the delivery channels, how are you interacting with your clients? And then there's the designated service risk factors as well. So these are the inherent risks that AUSTRAC has identified. Strongly suggest you guys take the time to go through this, understand how it will apply to your firm. You can see here if we select yes, you are accepting that risk. If you select no, you would just determine how would you avoid this risk. So that's just an example of how that works. This isn't a one and done situation. You have the ability to update your firm risk assessment in the Compliance Centre. Let's say you bring on a new designated service. AUSTRAC recommends that you detail that in your firm risk assessment. Moving on, I'll get into the AML policy and process, and this sort of works hand in hand with the firm risk assessment. It's sort of the policy at where you dictate and determine your escalation triggers, your internal controls, and essentially how you deal with your clients from a risk-based approach. So you have the option to upload your own policy you may have created internally, or you can actually create one within the Compliance Centre. So if you are staffed between 1 and 15, what AUSTRAC has mentioned or what they've provided and provisioned is a policy that's ready to go for firms that fall within this employee or staff bracket. And what that looks like is essentially instead of you having to write up your own AML policy, they've given you a compliant ready policy. And we've embedded that into the Compliance Centre here, as you can see. It may look a little bit bland, but you have the option to download this in a Word doc, make any amendments you make. You can add your organization name, your own branding, and then re-upload it into the Compliance Centre. As I scroll down here, you'll see that we have a fully operational, fully fledged, compliant ready AML policy. We can see here that the Compliance Centre is also embedded through it as well. And I guess it's just giving you, the reason we've done this is because we understand these new AML changes. It's going to take a lot of time and it can be very confusing for people to, get used to it all. So we've tried to make that very simple and given you a policy that's ready to go. So strongly suggest you guys go in there, take a look, and get familiar with it. If you are a firm that ranges between 16 to 50 or more, you can still use that AUSTRAC policy that they've supplied. However, they would like a suitability statement where that's just how you provide details on why and how that standard policy can be applied to your firm. Moving on, we'll get into the staff onboarding. So another AUSTRAC requirement is that you onboard your staff. So let's take Ash Doggett here, for example. He is a compliance officer. A verification of identity, PEP sanctions and adverse media check is required, and then also a criminal history check and bankruptcy register search as well. Make this very seamless and simple and embedding it throughout the Compliance Centre here. However, if Ash Doggett was a client-facing personnel, similar, except he only has to do a verification of identity and PEP sanctions and adverse media, bit of a tongue twister. He doesn't have to do the bankruptcy register search or the criminal history check. That's only for the compliance officer. And you may see at the bottom here that there is no cost associated, and that is intentional. We are making staff onboarding complimentary up until the 31st of May. So really suggest you guys go ahead, take advantage of that. Can be a significant cost saving to your firm. And the reason we've done that is InfoTrack's whole business model has been around, not being overhead to our clients. We don't want you. We're typically a dispersible cost, so we've done that intentionally to help ease your way into this new regime changes. Cool. And also worth noting in the staff onboarding page that this is unique and there is restricted access throughout the Compliance Centre. Only compliance officers and governing bodies have view of this, and that's intentional because we don't want all staff being able to see the credentials of their fellow colleagues. Cool. You can also see if training has been started or if they're onboarded as well. I'll get into the training really quick. So another AUSTRAC requirement is that a basic level of risk-based awareness training is conducted. So what we have here are 10 modules that we have co-developed with Grant Thornton, and it's sort of a basic level of AML understanding that we've produced here, and that works by video and then an interactive quiz as well, which you can go through and complete. Upon completion of all 10 modules, a certificate of completion will be generated, to which you can claim CPD points as well. So really getting that double value there, guys. You can claim CPD points from doing this training, but you can also get that AUSTRAC required AML risk-based awareness training too. Two birds, one stone type of situation. Awesome. Great. So what I've covered off here, firm risk assessment policy, staff onboarding and training. These are the recommended areas, well, what we recommend in AUSTRAC required to be conducted and completed before the 1st of July. So we've got that all embedded here throughout the Compliance Centre. And the cost to the Compliance Centre, there is none. So there is no subscription cost. It's free to use right now. You have the option to go ahead, go in here, you can get working on your firm risk assessment, start onboarding your staff at no cost. You can do your training, and we strongly recommend you guys do so to take advantage of this. Make this